Join us now as we look at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including the WWE legend blamed for the awful SmackDown, The Rock reveals the original plans for the WrestleMania reveal, why WWE were forced to censor SmackDown, Jeff Hardy wants to leave WWE on a good note, WWE are reserving Bloodline members, an indie wrestling star passes away in a tragic accident, former WWE Superstar spotted at TNA, Carmella officially gone from WWE, and much more. Now first we looks at a WWE legend blamed for the awful SmackDown. Now top of today's news is a report that fans are flooding social media with complaints about the Road Dogg's role in the 21st February SmackDown, an episode that received, well, very mixed reviews at best. Now fans are claiming this to be the worst SmackDown of the Triple H era, and they weren't holding back on Twitter as well. As one user wrote, SmackDown literally feels like government mandate filler episodes for WWE up until actual episodes of Raw come up. Is it that bad? As we noted in our analysis of The Rock's extended segment with Cody Rhodes, the segment dragged at times and should have aired at the end of SmackDown, as its position in the early third hour sapped the show's remaining momentum. Again, how do you follow such an insane promo with a DIY match? A Ringside News explained why fans are blaming Road Dogg for the show and the segment. Earlier this week, reports confirmed that Road Dogg had been named co-head writer of SmackDown, marking his return to the brand's creative team for the first time since his previous run from 2016 to 2019. However, if fans had hoped for a fresh start, they were sorely disappointed. The Rock segment saw the final boss repeatedly praise Cody Rhodes before offering to help him fulfill all his dreams and reach levels even higher than The Rock has. Now the only problem was that The Rock said he wanted Cody's soul in exchange, as some fans were confused by the segment and there were complaints it went on too long, criticizing The Rock for one of his weakest promos ever. However, critics need to remember that this is Road Dogg's first week back and it's unknown how much he even contributed to the show, but it seems that fans are aiming the blame in the wrong direction, as fans looking to play the blame game might be interested to learn who actually wrote Friday's interaction between The Rock and Cody Rhodes. Fightful Select is reporting that Christian Scoville, who the site notes often writes Cody's segments, was listed as the segment's writer. Now, does this absolve the Road Dogg of any blame, or even Triple H? At least in the eyes of some fans, or should he be held responsible for everything that goes to air? Next up, The Rock reveals the WWE's original plans for WrestleMania's reveal. WWE fans know that WrestleMania 42 will take place in New Orleans, Louisiana, thanks to The Rock announcing it on this week's SmackDown. However, that wasn't the WWE's original plans for the announcement, as during the post-show press conference on Friday, the final boss revealed that we were going to be part of the Super Bowl and make the announcement at the Super Bowl. We had a couple of hiccups that we couldn't make that happen. Now, you may recall rumblings before this year's Super Bowl that WWE was going to use the blockbuster sporting event to announce its version of the Super Bowl. Would they have been better announcing it on the grand stage? I'm sure WWE are kicking themselves, as this year's Super Bowl averaged a record audience of 127.7 million viewers. That could have been a lot of eyes on the WWE product. Next up, why WWE was forced to censor SmackDown. A WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton has been on fire lately, proving she has what it takes to be at the top of the WWE's women's division. However, on SmackDown, she was involved in two embarrassing moments. The first is when both Nia Jax and Candice LeRae failed to catch a dive from the top rope to the outside, which thankfully didn't end horribly, but the second led to WWE having to censor the show with a black screen, as when Tiffany was near the turnbuckle, her top attire slipped, leading to a much-needed adjustment. WWE managed to see the slip and quickly censored the show with a black screen. But WWE censors were not so quick, however, when The Rock dropped some of the usual profanity during his promo. Next up, Jeff Hardy wants to leave WWE on a good note. Now, is Jeff Hardy looking to right the wrongs of his past? Jeff's brother Matt, who will be joining him when they appear on this Tuesday's NXT to Battle No Quarter catch crews Miles Bourne and Tavian Heights, commented about the return on the latest episode of Matt Hardy's podcast. He's very happy to be going back, and I feel he wants to right the wrongs. He wants to leave on a good note, no more erratic behavior. He wants to go back and show them who he is. And Matt suggested WWE may have taken a wait-and-see approach with Jeff when he and Matt returned to TNA. I think one of the reasons when we did this whole exchange going on, I think one of the reasons they probably waited a little while to pull the trigger and do something with Jeff and I was to just kind of see where Jeff was, just to make sure that Jeff is good. Now, while some critics believe WWE is doing the same with Tessa Blanchard, a wrestler that the promotion is reportedly interested in by having Blanchard compete in TNA to see whether there's any issues before bringing her into WWE. Next up, WWE reserving Bloodline members members, or when are potential Bloodline members Lance Anoa'i and Hikuleo going to debut in WWE? With tensions rising between Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu, some fans are curious whether Solo is going to bring in help to deal with the Samoan werewolf. PW Insider's Mike Johnson discussed Hikuleo's status during a PW Insider Q&A, explaining that Hikuleo has been busy at the WWE Performance Center. But Johnson did interestingly point out how all the Bloodline stuff has been methodically planned out, so it makes sense. But Johnson added that Lance Anoa'i is likely in the same situation, as WWE doesn't want to throw either talent onto television until they have a solid plan for them. The current buzz is that Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu are set to square off at WrestleMania 41, so it wouldn't be surprised if one or both talents show up before the show of shows. Next up, TNA censoring Tessa Blanchard. Now, as current TNA wrestler Tessa Blanchard continues to deal with allegations of past racist behavior and bullying, fans and reporters want to know what's going on, why TNA brought the controversial figure back. A new claim from podcaster Mike Gilbert of the Mike and JD Show alleges that TNA won't let reporters ask Tessa about the allegations. Gilbert discussed this on his podcast, saying, TNA, they're doing a really bad thing with this Tessa. And what I mean is they're putting her around the media in all these different markets, and they're telling people to interview her, but they can't talk about the allegations. Mike went on to explain they're playing this game with the media, and a lot of people, two people I know specifically, have said F you. Like, I'm not going to be dictated on what questions I can and cannot ask Tessa, so if I can't ask her hard questions, I'm not interviewing her at all. I don't want to interview anybody else because TNA is not in the position they're trying to be. Now, whilst this story hasn't been confirmed, it's not the first time since someone has questioned wrestling promotions' interactions with the media. For example, some critics have accused WWE of using journalists who ask softball questions at their press conferences. While it's not unusual for celebrities to grant interviews with the understanding that some questions are off limits, you can be sure in controversial cases like Blanchard's, who has denied all the accusations, that reporters are going to want answers and call people or companies out when they're censored. Next up, Miro returns to the ring. A former AEW superstar, Miro didn't waste any time returning to the ring, as several news sites are reporting the Bulgarian brute competed in Qatar not long after his AEW release. Wrestling News reported Miro made his return to the ring on February 22nd at the Qatar Pro Wrestling event in Doha, Qatar. He faced AAA Mega Champion Alberto Del Rio. The Lucha Libre Online tweeted about the bout. Translated from Spanish, AAA Mega Champion Alberto Del Rio was Miro's first opponent in his return to the ring, and it happened in QPW in Doha, Qatar as part of the Super Slam 3 Super event, which will be available on March 2nd. Now, this is actually the first match that Miro's had since December 2023. A rumor has it that WWE Creative is working on a plan for his return to the WWE. Given all the preparation being made for WrestleMania 41, it'll be interesting to see if he returns before or after Mania, assuming he does return. Next up, two AEW talents ready to return. Now, it appears that two talents in AEW are chomping at the bit to return to the promotion after an extended injury and illness-related absences. Fightful Select Sean Ross Sapp is reporting Luchasaurus, who's been recovering from double pneumonia, and Sky Blue, who's been on the mend since a broken ankle, are medically cleared. Those familiar with their status say that both are close, but noted that being cleared by the doctors and cleared by AEW are two different things. AEW had operated on the assumption they wouldn't get Sky Blue back until spring. Next up, Isla Dawn addresses WWE release. Isla Dawn is letting fans know what she thinks of a recent release from WWE. Dawn, who held the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship with Alba Fire, released a video.
One of the sad facts of life is that you won't hear all the good things that people have to say about you until you're gone. Everyone bottles up their emotions only to pour them over your lifeless frame when it is just a little too late. Oh my god, I'm gonna miss her. Oh my god, she was a champion. She was a star. She did not deserve this.
Fire also held the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship and is the longest reigning NXT UK Women's Champion in the now defunct promotion added.
Did I deserve it? No, but I didn't need it. I was bleeding out. And this was the pressure and the gauze. I was crashing. This is the thing that revives me. My heart stopped on the table, but someone down there sent me back up, knowing that it wasn't quite my time. The White Witch is gone. The unholy enchantress, buried in the grave. Two-time tag team champion, ashes in an urn. But don't grieve for me. Isla Dawn's not dead yet.
Isla Dawn is not dead just yet. The 32-year-old talent should have no problem finding work given her resume and ring skills. Next up, sad news as an indie wrestling star passes away in a tragic accident. Now sad news to report as the wrestling world has lost one of its own. Slam Wrestling's Greg Oliver reports that indie star Eric Priest has lost his life in a motorcycle accident. According to Oliver, Mr. Priest debuted in 2000 after training with Ace Steel and Danny Dominion, and most of his success came in the US Midwest. The promotion AAW Wrestling tweeted the news, "It's with great sadness that we report former AAW Heritage Champion and Chicago legend Eric Priest has passed away." Eric Priest was a staple of Chicago wrestling for many years and ruled the early 2000s as the guy in Chicago. He helped many along the way and helped shape what pro wrestling in the Chicagoland area is today. Whether you knew him as the underwear model or the gold standard, you will be missed. Everyone at AAW sends their condolences to his family and friends. He will truly be missed. Eric Priest was 50 years old at the time of his passing. We here at WrestleMania also want to extend our condolences to the friends and family of Eric Priest. Next up, a former WWE Superstar spotted at TNA Wrestling. It was former Legado del Fantasma member Elektra Lopez heading to TNA. That's a question Lopez fans might be asking following a Lucha Libre Online report that Lopez was spotted backstage at TNA's 21st February Impact taping. WWE recently released Lopez and she's had a 90-day non-compete clause, which means she can't work anywhere right away. Next up, a new trademark for a WWE star. Our current NXT superstar Soul Rocket about to get a new name. Russell 2 PC is reporting WWE has filed to trademark Calix, which could be the new ring name for Soul Rooker, whose real name is Calix Harmony Hampton. Could this be a new identity? What do you guys think of the name? And finally, Carmella Officially Gone from WWE. Last but not least, it appears WWE Superstar's days with Carmella are officially over. A recent report indicated WWE did not renew Mella's contract and that she was now a free agent. But this and the former SmackDown Women's Champion removing all mentions of WWE from social media added weight to the story, but now a new move by WWE should eliminate all doubt as Carmella has now been officially moved to the WWE alumni section.